Right. Let's wait for somebody to jump on. Say hello. Who's going to be first? Who's going to be first? Right. Why do I only get one notification for that and not for that one? I don't know. It's weird. Right, anyway. Get comfy. Oh, that's smokers. Smokers. Focus. There we go. Alright. Who's on? We're going to do some testing for... we're going to do some testing for... Not you. Not you. Not you. We're going to do some max FPS testing. That's what we're going to do. Right, so I've just done a baseline. Let's do the next on the list. Oh, that's not the thing. How these YouTubers are getting 4,000 FPS. So pretty much got everything. I'm not going to touch resolution because that's just cheating. That's pure cheating. Hey Zeppo. So we're going to try all these. So I've got the first option in there. I just got 1,100 is the max. I'm going to run it for 2 minutes each time and see whether we can get it up a bit. But there's not much to do here. Let me see. So what about graphics let's drop this by 10%. 90% 3D resolution. Yeah, let's try that. Alright. And then we do a new test. Ready, steady, go. We'll run it for 2 minutes. See if that does anything. Yeah, so first test is just normal. First test is just normal. So run this for 2 minutes. This is just afterburner stats. So all I'm doing is starting and stopping it for 2 minutes. We do the same thing every time. This to me looks like it's made no difference whatsoever. Bumping down the resolution. It really does depend where the bottleneck is. And at the moment, the bottleneck is clearly not CPU or GPU. So lowering the resolution, I'm not sure it's going to help much, to be honest. That's a minute. Sit here and do it. Some of these tests are going to involve restarting Fortnite, unfortunately. I want to try and do all the ones I can think of without the ones that I can do just not touching Fortnite first. So this is certainly not an improvement. Right, hang on, about 20 seconds. I'll do control number pad 2 to stop this. 47, 48, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now. Alright. So what have we got? Let's fill in the gaps. So that was 90% 3D resolution. What are the numbers? Min is 922. Average is 1050. I've gone up a bit on the average, 1090. So that's helped with the lows by the looks of it. But it certainly hasn't helped with the max. Right, what else could we do? What else could we do? What else could we do? Yeah, it's not something I would recommend, so I'm not going to touch that. We're already on lows and things here. I mean, we could potentially turn off reflex. See what that does. But nothing else here is going to probably make much difference. Let's try DirectX 12, see if that makes a difference. And then we gotta go via DirectX 12 anyway to change the reflex. So let's give that a go. Let's give that a go. No, that's not what I want to do. Our wrapper probably wants help with something. What's wrapper sending me? He's up early. Sorry, Rapper's just asking me about monitor stuff. Give me a sec. What can I do in the meantime? Alright, just replying to Rapper quick. Yeah, Rapper needs me. He nearly spent a lot of money on a 500 Hz monitor that would be useless for him because he can't get 500 FPS. That wasn't happening. Ooh, look how much lower the FPS is. I'm normally about 1,000 right now. Look how much lower the FPS is. Oh my god. Okay, so let's go 1. So much lower. 704. That's 30% less. 30% less FPS. That's a lot. This is with reflex on plus boost. So I'll turn off reflex in a sec, which I'll need to do via the DirectX 12 menu. So I just want to capture 2 minutes of this first. Yeah, 11:32. Oh, nearly there. Nearly there. Ba, 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 10 seconds to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit it. Alrighty. So streaming PC. This is DX12. Yeah. So we've got min 676, average 692, max 706. I mean, 706 is nothing, is it? Right, alright, so let's go back to this. Let's go back to the gaming PC. Right, so now we're going to turn off reflex and go back to performance mode. Down the bottom, we've now got these additional things we can change, but I mean we could do it in the config file, it's probably the easiest one. But let's turn that off, apply and test. What difference that makes in here. It certainly hasn't gone up much. Maybe you need to restart Fortnite for it to make a difference, but in DirectX 12 that did pretty much nothing without rebooting anyway. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Saw a really funny tweet this morning where somebody had written "football's coming home" and then crossed out the OOTB and changed it for UCK. So it's F-all's coming home. Oh, that was funny. Fixed it for you. Right, alright, so we've now got reflex off, yeah? Time to test reflex off. I've got to make some lunch in about 20 minutes. So we're going to have to restrict the tests a little bit. I think the next one I'm going to do is the LOD BIOS. LOD, yeah. BIOS. Alright. Wait for that to calm down with all the flashes and things. And we'll kick off a test. There you go. So this is with reflex off. Okay, fine. So remember before, this is basically the first test that we did, well I did, that I got a max of 1100. But the only difference now is I've got reflex off compared to reflex on plus boost. $4,000 FPS is just nonsense. No one's getting 4,000 FPS. It's utter a lie. Got the best Intel hardware you could possibly get. Okay, it's Intel, so yeah. But the most expensive Intel hardware you can get consumer for a gaming PC. The second best GPU you can buy. No one is getting 4,000 FPS. Got the best cooling you can get. My memory is about as fast as anyone's running. So, with hardware-wise, you're not getting that. Well, it certainly hasn't unlocked a lot of FPS, has it? I think it's improved the mins and averages. It certainly hasn't helped with the other one. In fact, I might even rerun the first test again, because there might have been other weird things going on in the background. Right, 10 seconds to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Right, so let's have a look. This time we've got reflex off. Min 969. Average 1057 and 1099. So basically, it's not really doing anything. I mean, it's helping the averages a little bit, but it's certainly not unlocking a huge amount of top-end FPS, is it? At all, turning reflex off. So that isn't it. That ain't it. Alright, so let's go back to this. Let's go back to the gaming PC. I want to put reflex off again, but I need to. The only other thing I can do now really is NVIDIA Inspector. I mean, I've got this overclocked as high as I can go. That's probably running. I think that's running higher than a 3090 would, a 4090 would, with the overclock. So. In. I'm not slacking here. What was I going to do? I was going to edit the... No, not that. Yeah, that one. That's the correct one. Yeah, okay, so I need to find the latency thingy. Where's the latency tweaks? Here we go. Latency tweaks 2. Instead of that, we want 0, 1, and 2. 2 is on plus boost. Yeah? So off is 0, on is 1, on plus boost is 2. Yeah? So yeah, let's mess around in the NVIDIA reflex stuff now then. And these are all zeros. So that should be back to what it was at the beginning. Save that. That'll kick in next time we start Fortnite. Right, NVIDIA Inspector, please. No, wrong one. There we go. Yep. My Fortnite. Right, so. We can probably turn all anti-aliasing off, force it, but I pretty much got most of it off already. Angioscopic filtering, right, okay, so it's the LOD bias, right? That's what we want. We don't want the OpenGL, we run Fortnite in DirectX 11, because that's performance mode. So, if we go, the maximum we can go to here is 3. Yeah, that should make it look awful. -3 makes it look the best. +3 makes it look awful, but you should get better FPS. So I think that's one of the tricks people are using to get a ridiculously high FPS in this. There was another one. What was it? Was it anti-aliasing sampling or something? Multi-sampling is off. I don't remember what it even was. Might have been something in these. Anti-aliasing SLIAA. Is it that? No, I'm not touching that then. Wasn't that? We're only doing one thing at a time, but I'm just thinking if there's anything we can do after this in here. Alright, so we've only changed one thing. So we've changed the LOD bias for DirectX. Oh, I need to actually make sure it's on. Yeah, it's on. Okay, so it's on and it's 3. That's the most potato graphics we can get. 10,000 FPS, you reckon? Okay, here we go. So let's start Fortnite up. Morning, just running a very quick stream before I do lunch. Sorry. All right. Let's go. What else was I going to try? I tried turning down the 3D, turning down the. I mean, I suppose I could run it at lower resolution, but then I need to make my monitor a lower resolution as well. I don't really want to do that. Not something I would do, so I would never recommend it. Right, let's calm down a little bit before we kick it off. But look, I mean, look at the FPS right now. That's not over 1100, is it? Start. So we've just basically put in potato graphics, and it certainly hasn't unlocked the max. There is something fundamentally restricting the FPS that isn't the CPU and it isn't the GPU. Because if it were, then they'd be running at 100%, and neither of them are anywhere near 100%. So that leaves something that I can't measure, basically, whether the memory speed is being maxed out. I mean, I could try lowering the speed of the memory, see what effect that has, take off. Well, go on non-XMP. I mean, I reckon that would drop it by like 100%. It's got to be the memory or the game engine. It's just the CPU is just taking a long time to get to where it needs to. It's having to do a lot of things in a single thread. And it takes time to get there because it's still doing a lot of things from the game engine, the code. It's not very efficient code. It doesn't scale. The code doesn't scale. So how anyone is getting 1600, even 1600 FPS? I don't know. But I mean, look, this is exactly the same FPS as I got at the beginning. Kernel, right? I'll sort you out in a second, Kernel. If you're watching. 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop the clock. Hey, Colonel. Yeah, thank you very much for the donation. I'll sort you out on the Discord very quickly as soon as I've written this down. So give me a second. Okay, so we need to go back to the PC. We need to go back to opening this up. So this is LOD bias +3, isn't it? And what do we get this time? Min. So it's increased the lows, this has, but it certainly has not unlocked top end. Oh, I've got an extra 3 FPS, look, compared to where we started. So that isn't it. That is not it. Of all the things that it is, that is not it. But that has increased the mean and the average, which is interesting. But then I've got potato graphics now, so I don't want potato graphics. So no. Right, let me back to the gaming PC quick. I'll sort you out quick, Colonel. I don't know whether your username is the same on Discord. Let me check my messages. Make sure I get the right username. Really, it's not going to tell me. Right. Messages. Okay, gotcha. Oh, gotcha. Make sure I'm streaming the right computer right now, so nobody can see what I'm doing. Good. All hidden. Settings, roles, Fortnite guide. There we go. Gotcha. Add that one, and then right. Yep, and then the Fortnite one. Add you to that too. Right, should be added. I'll send you a message as well. Where's direct messages? Great DM. There you go. Got your message. Should be good to go. Awesome. Right. What are we doing? So yeah, I don't think that's really helped, does it? Let's go back onto thingy mode as well. Because I don't want... Is that gonna be in thingy mode? Damn it, how do I get into... Yes, it is. Cool. Alright. Right, so the moral of that story is what do we test next? What is going to get the FPS higher? Because at the moment, right? Okay, so let's switch the monitoring. Let's switch up the monitoring. I'm going to turn off the monitoring in Afterburner. Do that. In here. Turn off all of these. So basically the easiest way to turn all off everything is to basically do a select all like that and then apply, and that's gone. And also in showing statistics on that, so they're now gone. But so the best thing we can do to this is to run cat for MX. So hang on, give me a sec. Wait. Do I turn off? VTB. I don't think I do anything with VTB. I did on my old PC BIOS. I basically said I think I added a little bit of extra temperature headroom. I think I went up to 115. I maybe want to say. I think the default is like. I think the default's like 100, isn't it? VTB. So I think I've just left that on my new PCs. So yeah, I haven't touched anything with that. It's something you can play with, but I mean, if you start increasing, I mean, you're not gonna hit. I mean, look at my thermals right now, right? If you're in game and I've got unlimited FPS, look at my thermals. So I'm 58, 54 on my CPU, 69, 52, 56. So I'm nowhere near that VTB maximum of around 100. Nowhere near it in game. If I'm running Prime 95 stability test or I'm running Cinebench, then potentially, yeah, it could be limiting those with that, and obviously it then downclocks the CPU a bit. But it's not. Yeah, for a game, I don't think you'll be seeing that. Nigo, thank you for joining us. Awesome. Yeah. So okay. So look. There we go. Back in focus. So what exactly? Right now, I've got FPS set to unlimited, and obviously there's more of an overhead when I'm running CapFrame X to when I'm running Afterburner. I noticed that they're lower numbers. They're not in the thousands anymore. What exactly is limiting the FPS right now? Because if the CPU max, and that's basically of all the cores, the CPU cores, what one's the highest? So that's reporting 62, 63%, 62%. That's the highest core that it's reaching right now. So the CPU isn't determining the bottleneck at the moment. So the CPU isn't bottlenecking. The GPU definitely isn't bottlenecking. Look, it's at 44, 43%. So that's not determining the limit of the FPS right now. So what is doing it? And the only thing I can think of that's doing it is the memory speed. So the communication between the CPU and the memory is not quick enough to get more FPS. And you can test that by lowering or raising your memory speeds. So obviously one of the main things you want to do in your BIOS always is turn on XMP. I think when I went from my old PC and I swapped out the memory and I went from 3200 CL16, which is a 10 nanosecond speed memory if you do the math. So you divide the CL by the frequency, times it by 2000, you get 10 nanoseconds. And I replaced it with CL15 4000 hertz, which is a 7.5 nanoseconds. So we've gone from 10 nanoseconds down to 7.5. I gained top end 120 FPS max. So the memory speed obviously does play a factor here, but right now I'm running really fast memory. I'm running, 7466 DDR5 at CL34. That's compared to most people, that's really fast. And I'm still only around 1000 FPS. People that say that they're getting 1600 FPS, how are they doing that? Because the CPU's not maxed, the GPU's not maxed, and I've got a really good CPU and GPU. And my memory speed's about as fast as you're going to get without getting a massive overclockers, motherboard, and cooling solution. How are they doing it? No, ring bus speed. I've tried changing ring bus speed, and pretty much all that does is add temperature. tried that as well. Tried upping that. So my default ring bus speed for this is 45. So I've got my P cores running at 59, so 5.9 gigahertz, and my E cores are running at 4.5, so 45. And the ring speed can go anywhere between, the ring speed max is 50, and I've tested 50, 49, 48, 47, 46, and 45. And 45 is the default. And it doesn't really add performance. All it's really doing is adding voltage and adding heat. Yeah, maybe it's a different map, but I mean, this is a very, I've seen gameplay with 1600, so what is doing it? Where is the bottleneck? Because it isn't the CPU, it isn't the GPU, it definitely isn't I/O. There's hardly any I/O. If you look at I/O right now, there's hardly any. So, I mean, we can even use Task Manager to look at I/O. Look, there's no I/O going on pretty much at all. So it's definitely not the disk. No I/O. So these are the things that, it's not network. I mean, there's hardly any network going on at all. These are the bottleneck areas of the physical devices. So the only thing I can think of is the communication speed between here and here, CPU and memory. If you want to get ridiculously high FPS. And obviously if you've got an AMD X3D CPU, like Zeppo has in chat, then the L3, you've got a lot more L3 cache. So I've only got 36 megabytes. He's got 96, and that memory is literally touching the CPU. So it's so much quicker because it's so much closer. So the game will be using the L123 cache before it uses the physical memory, which is a lot physically further away, so it's slower. But yeah, you can see, I mean, okay, potentially it could be that core that's limiting it and that core that's limiting it, maybe. But then if I increase the frequency, then that should give me more FPS, yeah? But it doesn't really. Makes my computer a bit more unstable, but... So, I mean, in theory, it could be those two cores doing it. But then why isn't that reporting 100% there? But I think that's a discrepancy between how Task Manager reports stuff and other tools report what the maxes are. It's a tricky one. Wish I knew. I mean, I'm assuming it's the game engine and the memory speed. Really? Because that L3 cache is approximately 8 times faster than the physical memory. When I've done benchmarks, the bandwidth is about 8 times less. So that's very fast. If you can get the code, these talking to the L3 cache, you're going to get more FPS. But yeah, I don't know. Are they using? Maybe they're using Threadripper CPUs. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe they've got so many CPUs here that it's... Notice as well that it's spilling over to the E cores. Have you seen that before? So if you're ever in Processor So and a video tells you, oh yeah, just make sure that you put your game, find your game. Fortnite, where are you? Here we go. Make sure you allocate this to only run on CPU affinity 0 to 7, so only on the P cores. Because that will give you, then you don't want it running on slow E-cores. Well, that's not a good thing. Not a good thing, because once it kind of fills up these P cores, you kind of want it overspilling onto the E cores a little bit. And it's not always the thing that's creating the FPS that's using up these all these other cores. It's kind of some background calculations that aren't required for the FPS that still can go onto here in the game when I've looked at it in Process Explorer, what the actual threads are doing. So yeah, ignore anyone that tells you to put your game only on P cores, because you don't want that. Just let it do its thing. Let it fill up the P cores first and then overflow into the E cores if it needs to. Just prioritize the P cores. Most games will prioritize the P cores anyway. Yeah, so preferred cores. You want preferred cores. Games will use preferred cores. They'll use those P cores as the preferred cores. They just will. I mean, you can see it live right now. We're overflowing into those E cores, but we're primarily using all the P cores. And I've cut this down. So I normally run hyperthreading. Well, sorry, the CPU by default runs hyperthreading. So it's normally double the number of P cores, and I deliberately turn off half of the E cores. So I normally, the default CPU has 16 E cores. So I've deliberately turned off hyperthreading, and I've deliberately turned off half of the E cores because I found that gives the best benchmark results. Obviously, if you're turning off a load of hyperthreading cores and E cores, then you're sending less voltage to those, so you're generating less heat, so you're getting better performance. You can take that too far. If you take off all the E cores, I've tried 4 as well, that was worse performance. So for me, 8 P cores and 8 E cores is the sweet spot. But yeah, so what is, I keep coming back to this, what is limiting this FPS right now? What's doing it? Is it the single is it those 2 threads that are max that we saw in Task Manager? And then the only way you can help those is potentially spreading the load by turning on hyperthreading. I mean, I could reboot and stick on hyperthreading and see if we get more FPS, top end. I mean, you're going to get worse latency if you do that. I'm almost interested to see what that will do. I need to go and make lunch very soon though. Shall I try that quick? See if we can get a few more with turning on hyperthreading and see what it does. All right, I'm going to do that super quick. You won't be able to see the BIOS because I haven't got it set up when I go through this, but I'm going to do it really, really quickly. Right, so I'm basically going to turn on hyperthreading, and then hopefully that will lower the spread the load out more, and nothing will be hitting 100%, but we shall see. Okay. So it was that one and that one before, wasn't it, that were hitting the max? Let's try it. So yeah, LOD +3 really didn't do anything, so we're going to go back to default for that. Just you click on the little thing here, it sets it back to default, we apply changes. I could go -3 and make it look better, but no, I just find 0's fine. You should let it use its default. The only thing I'm doing in the NVIDIA Profile Inspector, well, 2 things. One is enabling the rebar, resizable bar for the GPU, because even though it's enabled in the BIOS, and the operating system, your game might not be using it. So you have to explicitly say, and it's off by default in Fortnite, you have to explicitly say, please use rebar. That will use all of your GPU's memory then, instead of just bits of it. The only other thing I'm doing in here is, where are you? Memory allocation policy. I'm just changing that to the aggressive setting. That helped a teeny tiny amount with FPS and with latency, but it is a teeny tiny amount. It's almost negligible. So, but I do it anyway, because if I wasn't coming in here in the first place to enable rebar, then I wouldn't bother suggesting people do this. But as you're here anyway, just stick on the aggressive one. So anyway, let's apply all those changes. I'm going to reboot this environment now, and I'm going to turn on hyperthreading. See what it does to the top end FPS. Hey Raged, hey Dan. But yeah, I can't spend too long on this because I need some lunch. I need to cook my son some lunch as well. He's getting hungry. 14-year-olds get hungry. Come on. Nearly in the BIOS. Right, in the BIOS, OC, advanced CPU configuration, hyperthreading, enabled. Right, hyperthreading is enabled. That will mess up a lot of my processor affinity numbers, by the way. But I just want to see generally what this does. So it won't be then set up perfectly for performance, but F10. Hyperthreading is now enabled. Let's see what this does to the top end FPS. I've been surprised that pretty much nothing we've done so far has really made much of a difference. The top end FPS, nothing. I could also turn off XMP and show you what the difference there is from memory speeds. So I think that's what's determining it, I really do. Save process also config, then clear all processor affinities. Save process. No, I can't play. I'll play reload a bit later, but save process also config, then clear all processes. I'm not sure what you mean, Evolve. Save process also config. Oh wait. Another question. How have you tweaked your sub timings? I haven't found any guide to optimize. Yeah, you might be able to use mine actually. Have a look at mine. It's I think I listed them in the guide, didn't I? If not, they're on the Discord in the memory overclocking section. Save process, let's see. What do you mean save processor save? Oh, well, you mean all the processor affinities? I don't think I've got much set up. I've tested all processor soup before. I've done so much testing in this, allocating things to different different cores. So we've got a few more cores there. So you're probably right on these. We can get rid of these. I'm going to get rid of these rules. Let's remove all rules for those. But that's just my fan control stuff. So that should be fine. I've tried everything, allocating different processes to different P cores, E cores, and the best solution is to let it do its own thing. The Windows scheduler is the best option. Just let it do it. Again, that's just clickbait for YouTube, people telling you to move stuff around. I've tried it all, honestly. I've tried everything. And processor C. Right, so hang on. So where have we got at the moment? I'll put those back at some point, but let me see what's actually set right now. So the CPU set, always clear. Okay, so they're gone. So nothing's set on CPU affinity. So we've got now double the number of P cores because we've got the core in its thread, core in its thread, core in its thread for hyperthreading. Yeah. So let's run the same test again and see. So this is now effectively CPU 0, that's CPU 1, those two are CPU 2, etc., etc. So I don't have the bindings. I mean, I can change the processor affinities for the GPU and the USB. But I can't be bothered at the moment for this test because I don't think it's going to make a huge bearing on it. I just want to see whether it brings down any core, whether it spreads the load better across 16, and then brings everything just below 100. That's what I'm looking for. So I want to make sure, I want to see how these are distributed in the P cores when I start the game on unlimited FPS. Any tips for PS5? I think there's a couple of things you can do in PS5. Isn't there like a performance mode in the system settings that you can switch on? Make sure you've got 120 FPS switched on, 120 Hertz for your monitor. Make sure your DNS is probably set to Google's, just 8.8.8.8 and 8.8.4.4. But other than that, it's really just a case of making sure you're plugged into an Ethernet rather than Wi-Fi. I mean, even the power line adapter is better than Wi-Fi. Typically, you'll get 10 less ping going from Wi-Fi to a power line adapter, and you'll get 10 less ping again going from a power line to a physical Ethernet from your router that comes into your house. So you can save 20 ping just by doing that. Other than that, there's not much you can do with PlayStations and Xboxes other than keep them clean as well. Clean out the dust occasionally. Right, what are we going to get? So we need to switch on. I need to put that back on again, don't I? Showing statistics. Let's see if that just works. I might be able to just do that without monitoring those extra things. So, hyperthreading on. Let's have a look. See if we get above or below the 1100 max that we were getting before. And then I really must make some lunch. It's Monday's pasta day for lunch. Gotta go make a pasta. Yummy, yummy pasta. Right, let's go. Well, maybe. Right, let's settle down a bit. So let's take a reading. Let's start with a reading. So remember, max last time was 1100, pretty much dead on. And obviously I don't have ideal processor affinity set up right now because they've shifted, turning on hyperthreading. But that certainly isn't breaking the bank with extra FPS, is it? I'd say there's probably better mins though than what we had before. Maybe better over averages, which is interesting. I'm going to run this for 2 minutes down there. And I'll stop it at 2 minutes and stick it in here. So yeah. So what averages were we getting before? So it's pretty much comparing to the baseline right now. The average of so we're getting higher average with hyperthreading. So if you're struggling for FPS. Then definitely look at turning hyperthreading on. Obviously, you will lose some latency. It will be worse latency with hyperthreading on, but you'll get better throughput. So, try both. Depends on the CPU. It really does. Oh, what did I just do? Didn't mean to do that. Okay. Speed shift when disabled breaks completely the behavior of the OS scheduler. Okay. Equals for background tasks especially. I didn't know that. I haven't noticed that. I don't think I disable speed shift. Do I disable speed shift? I don't think I do. I don't think I bother. I disable the, what's it, super boost or whatever it's called. I normally disable that one. Right, control, ready, go. Stop. Stop. Yeah, that did stop. Okay. All right, let's fill in the thingies. Right, hyperthreading. Hyper. So now we've got min 37. That's a very low thing in min. Average. That's a good average. I think that's pretty much the highest average we've had, isn't it? And we do have a little bit higher. So we are getting 20 FPS higher with hyperthreading on. So the next thing I quickly want to look at is I want to have a look at the actual cores, see if anything looks like it's maxing out while this is running like this. So we're maxing this out. Do any of those cores look maxed? Maybe that one. Nearly. Yeah, I think that one's pretty maxed. So I think that's core 0, core 1. So that's the core and its thread, core and its thread, core and its thread. Like that. So hyperthreading threads. So basically we've split, with hyperthreading off, you just have cores. And then with hyperthreading on, you basically split them in two and you kind of run 2 lanes of the motorway, even though they're not at the same speed as the fast lane. So let's, for example, say that you got a single lane with hyperthreading off at 100 miles an hour. You can send traffic down. So that's really fast, low latency. But then when you split them in two for the hyperthreading, let's say one lane's 60 miles an hour and one lane's 40 miles an hour all of a sudden. You can get more traffic through, more bandwidth, but the latency's less because no one's going faster than 60 miles an hour after that. It's the easiest explanation I can make. So that does not look like it's maxed. So if that isn't maxed, what is limiting the FPS? There must be another bottleneck. Yeah? Must be. It cannot be the CPU that's bottlenecking if nothing is hitting 100%. That make sense? So yeah, so it will help a little bit for your top end FPS, I think. It's worth doing. But for just general gameplay, I'd recommend turning hyperthreading off. If you've got 8 cores, I would recommend turning hyperthreading off generally. If you've got 6, test it each way. Test it whether it's on, and test it whether it's off. See how it goes for your CPU. But generally speaking, hyperthreading off. So how are these guys getting 1600 FPS? That's what I want to know. So I'm running top of the range Intel. I'm running overclocked second best GPU in the world you can get, consumer level. My memory speeds are really, really fast. What are they doing? Are they running some crazy motherboard and RAM speed combo? Anything I can think they're doing? Or they've got a ton of L3 cache and then they're overclocking everything else somehow with it. I'd really like to know how Zeppo, with his X3D 7800, wrong way around, 7800 X3D, whether he's seeing similar patterns to me with CPU percentages. CPU max, whether he's hitting any CPU max when he does this. Zeppo, if you're listening. Because I don't know whether then your CPU is limiting you and your bottleneck is somewhere else. I don't know. I mean, it could be just the game code. It could be the Unreal Engine code just being really, really slow. But yeah. So my LPC, yeah, in doing this is about 710 max. My new PC, yeah, is 1100-ish max. So upgrading your hardware certainly helps. They're running exactly the same operating system, exactly the same tweaks. So the only difference between those two computers is the hardware. The GPU, the CPU, the motherboard. Running lower latency memory on the old PC. Anyway. Right, I really need to go and make lunch and a pasta. I'm going to put my BIOS back to how it should be, with hyperthreading off, disabled, because yeah, it's spreading the load, and it's interesting that Fortnite is pretty much using all the CPUs, but it does look like it's kind of prioritizing the cores, not the threads, if you see what I'm saying, kind of the faster ones. So Cool, cool, cool. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Yeah, bon appetit. Thanks, Colonel. I will catch you guys after lunch. I will be doing probably some more tests of other things. I don't know what I'm going to try. I'll think of something, and then I'll probably be playing some just games with Biscuit, and then the other dads a bit later in the afternoon. So tune in then, probably in a couple of hours, if you want to watch some more of this nonsense. In the meantime, enjoy your day, and I'll catch you later. Bye for now.